Hey Nicole, how's it going? I see the pregnant belly is showing itself fully or semi-fully.
Yeah, it's
How's
also really hot in my studio slash garage.
yeah,
So,
yeah, we nobody has to worry about what happens in front of the screen. All that matters is what's happening in what you see. So, but how are you feeling otherwise? I mean, it's been quite a while since we've chatted actually, but how's things going your side? How many weeks pregnant again? If we just have a bit of an update.
yeah, so when this comes out, I'll be 23 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
And right now I'm about 22 weeks pregnant. Honestly, like nothing has changed. I weight lift 4 to 5 times a week.
Mhm.
I I guess I play a round of golf once a week where we walk instead
You've
of
been
like
playing a
riding in
lot
a
of
car.
golf, hey? Have you
I
not?
know, I know. For me, it's nice because like you're walking in between holes. So
Mm,
even if you play 9 holes, that's like 8,000 steps at least.
yeah.
Like I haven't actually tracked it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear my Apple Watch for the first time in a really long time, and then I just totally forgot because it's dead and I don't use it anymore. But it's just so nice because like we have a tea time usually like 7 a.m. It's like first thing in the morning. Sun just came up at like 6:30. No one's out there. It's kind of like the world is quiet and you're just walking with your bag and you know, we have little like push carts for our bag, but the point is that you're getting like the morning sun, you're outside with nature, you're not on your phone, you're just cruising and you're just hitting balls as best you can. And when you mess up, you're hoping that you don't break it, any clubs. So yeah, so that's like the best part. And then we also play pickleball once a week. So I would say like I'm pretty active.
Mm,
Uh, well, maybe I'm very active. Like nothing has really, I guess nothing has really like slowed down. And it's so weird because Josh, like for you and I, or like anyone who's ever dealt with weight issues or just kind of like has been so concerned about weight, like I am the heaviest I've ever been in my life right now. And it's kind of like it's not like scary,
mm,
but it's just like it's more interesting from an anatomy standpoint of like, I'm doing all my knees over toes exercises and all the PT and stuff to
mm,
stay strong, but how your body handles that excess weight, like your joints and everything,
mm.
is just very interesting.
Is there
um,
like a fear? So just from your standpoint, is there like a
yeah,
is there like a is there a because I'm trying to construct this from like if I was like pregnant, like
yeah.
is there like this fear that the weight won't go off, even though we know it's gonna go off, but like is there this post-pregnancy fear? Is that what it is, or is it something different? I don't
Honestly,
know.
I'm not worried about losing the weight. Like I know I'll lose it. And the thing is that with breastfeeding, like it takes everything out of you.
Mm,
So a lot of times, like the weight gain that you have, um, will really be helpful for when you're breastfeeding because that's like, I think there's like an obscene amount of calories that are being burned when you're breastfeeding. Like it literally like takes it just
mm-hmm,
out of you. So that's what like my midwife was talking about. And she's like, that's why like weight gain is good, especially for people that are underweight, because when you're
mm,
actually breastfeeding, like after the baby's born is when it really comes into play.
mm,
So like although, being pregnant, like maybe you're like, oh, what's the point of this? Or like what's going on? It's really like that layer of fat and like what you're gaining now, you're gonna lose during
mm.
breastfeeding. But again, like if you're not active going into pregnancy, you're probably not gonna lose the weight. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have a
Mm.
harder time like trying to actually lose weight if
Mm.
you don't already have habits. Do you know what I mean?
So
Like after
try
you have
and
them.
try your very best to keep the same habits that you would want to keep as much as you can. Obviously, you can't do certain things, but
Yeah.
you're basically living a normal life just with another human growing inside of you. And there's a few things you can't do, but for the most
Yeah.
part, you trying your best to keep things normal. You know.
Exactly. So then like when after I have the baby and everything, like there's obviously going to be a time postpartum where, you can't work out, right? You're
Mm.
very much just like resting and your body's recuperating from
Mm-hmm.
doing something so wild and bringing a child, like birthing someone.
Mm.
Um, and that's fine. Like I think it's just like my whole thing is like if there's things that you can control, right? Like obviously I'm not going to worry about weight gain. right? Like that's just something that's going to happen. My body's naturally going to hold on to things, and it's going to be good for when I'm breastfeeding, right?
Mm,
So like weight gain is normal, natural, whatever. I'm not worried about that. I think it's more so being worried about how your body's going to be different after.
mm,
Do you know what I mean?
mm.
I'm not talking about like down there, but I mean just like I'm going to have a little bit wider hips, like I'm just it's more just curious looking at like, oh, like I wonder how my body's going to feel or like look or be like.
Mm,
It's something that you just don't know when you do it for the first time. So I think
mm,
that's it, because I know like I'll lose the weight. I'm not worried about like the weight loss after.
mm.
It's
So like
more,
structurally, your body will
yeah.
be it will be a little bit different, basically, is what you're saying. Like just that's just what happens during pregnancy, right?
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think so, because like your hips have to, like, I feel like I've always had kind of more like narrow hips, and
Mm.
so I'm like, oh, there's gonna be like a thing that comes out of there, and like it's gonna like push my, which also is like not a bad thing. But it's just, I don't know, I think that's like the weird thing, because you just don't know. But if you go into pregnancy with healthy habits, you stay active, like I think that's probably the most important thing, and you're eating healthy. Like right now I have to eat like every day a minimum of 80 grams of protein a day.
Mm.
That's like the minimum, and that's what my midwife requires, um like for just developing a healthy baby and everything they need.
Yeah, because
So
that sounds like it's like 0.5 grams per lean massive body weight, or like it's somewhere around there. If it's 80 or between zero point 0.5 and a gram, basically, hey, or 1 gram of lean protein per.
you lost me at math.
Okay, okay,
I
that's what
I
it
don't
sounds like
know,
to
but
me. Okay.
I think regardless of who you are, like
Mm,
regardless of your weight, regardless of anything, they want you to try to hit 80 grams of protein per
mm,
day.
mm-hmm,
So in like my habit tracker, I have a habit tracker now that I just started that I love. So it's
mm.
like 30 minutes of sun, 30 minutes of movement, like flossing, because I never do that.
Okay, wait.
And
What is this, like an app, or how are you doing it?
yeah, so Kelly Hogan uses this, and I was like, oh wow, like I love crossing things off, because
Yeah,
I'm like crazy type A.
you are definitely fitting that app. I can see that.
Oh yeah. And so like it basically just like you put little things on here.
Mm,
Like for example, like this is a weird one, but my midwives now want me to track my food so I can see how much actual protein I was getting, because when I was like kind of being adverse to eggs and like eating a whole steak, I feel like I was getting less than I should have.
hmm.
So like yeah, it just looks like this. It's called Habit Tracker, and you put your things and then you like mark it off.
Oh, nice.
And
So like as
first,
soon as you've done that in the day, it's a
yeah,
daily thing. You marking it off. Like that's pretty cool.
yeah, and you can put like weekly things or whatever,
Mm,
or like on certain days you can put stuff, but like 30 minutes of reading or whatever. But I just like so far I've flossed my teeth more than I have
mm.
in like a year. So I
Yeah.
think it's working well. But yeah, that's weird though. It's weird to track my food,
Hmm.
but I have to like be accountable for like making sure this life is like functioning and like getting everything it
Mm.
needs to, continue developing and be healthy.
I'm
So
sure it is. It's getting some good stuff. Better than any other American that I know, that's for sure.
I try, but it's also just like when I sit down and I'm like, oh geez, like it's literally like every single meal you should have protein obviously with it.
Hmm.
And like I totally thought, like, for example, sausage had like so much more protein in it. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, it's like all fat. So
Basically all
like
fat,
now
yeah.
I'm, yeah, so like I just feel like a lot of the foods like I'm eating are more fat heavy, so I have to eat more of them. And then like the raw, I like doing the raw milk shots with the egg yolk
I
in
was
it
gonna
now.
ask about that. So
Yeah.
that's your substitute now for eggs, basically, in the morning.
Yeah, it's just like I don't really crave anything right now. Like I crave like nothing. And so I'm
Mm.
like, oh, okay, like a milk shot with like an egg yolk. Like cool. I'm like getting my I'm getting like my nutrients, but like you don't taste anything.
Yeah.
So it's a weird time. It's a weird time, Josh.
It is a weird time. On that note, I'm on this strange, just the strange craving for ketchup, tomato sauce.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
explain this. So,
Are you
so
pregnant?
I could be, honestly, I could be, because so I've always had, like, for a long time I've had like a sort of a thing of a thing, Josh, speak English, a bottle of ketchup in my fridge that I very occasionally use when I'm cooking chicken because it's so boring and bland,
Yes. Mm.
dry, but it's very high in protein. Like if you want protein like chickens, I mean you can't beat it, but I have to have something with it. So usually if I
Yeah.
am having it, like I sometimes make in the air fryer these coconuts dusted chicken tenders or like
Oh, like
pork.
coconut flour?
Yeah, yeah, or like or
Oh,
pork rinds.
yeah.
Yeah, pork rinds in the air fryer. It's a really cool snack. But then I have to have it with tomato sauce.
Yeah.
So, but lately I've just been kind of like addicted to tomato sauce, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Like I've kind of been having it like every third day. I'm like sitting there, even with my beef, and I'll be like, I really feel like some tomato sauce now. And it's gotten to a point where I'm like, oh shit, this is a little bit okay. I buy the Heinz one with less. It's got like 50% less sugar,
I was gonna ask you about the
whatnot.
sugar. Yeah.
But tomatoes, I mean tomatoes in general, if you speak to any carnivore, it's like tomatoes are no go. Like tomatoes are nightshades. They've got
Inflammation.
a
Yeah.
ton of like alkaloids and I don't know how to say, I think it's called I don't know. Anyway, but things that bind chemicals that bind to certain minerals in your body and cause inflammation, especially arthritis. Like my mom, when she eats tomatoes, her hands inflame like immediately. But my theory is because the tomato sauce is in like vinegar and it's been prepared and it's got a bit of sugar, it's preserved. It's like it's
Yeah.
not as bad for you. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. It's just something that I've been weirdly addicted to lately, and I feel fine, but yeah, it's weird.
Here's the thing though,
Yeah.
Josh. Like you've come such a long way. And I do
Yeah.
have people that ask me that are doing carnivore, starting carnivore, and they're like, well, what do you do about sauces? And
Mm.
I'm kind of like, well, here's the thing. Like if you can find a sauce that doesn't have vegetable oil in it
Mm.
and you want to use that occasionally, cool.
Yeah.
You know, my whole thing is that like if you're still getting the vegetable oils, I feel like you're not going to benefit as much from carnivore because
Mm.
part of it is like getting rid of those things. I will
Mm.
say one thing that I do like when I'm pregnant, and this has to do with tomatoes as well, is they have a keto pizza. Okay. And
Okay.
so there's this one place down the street from me that does this amazing meat lovers pizza. And they actually can do it on like cauliflower crust, but
Mm-hmm.
like keto style. Like it tastes like the actual crust tastes like cardboard. Like it does
Mm.
not taste good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like part of me is like, oh, like I'm eating like a meat pizza. Like this is kind of like reminding me, I'm like, cool, like, like this is amazing. Um, but I historically have not done well with nightshades, potatoes,
Mm.
French fries. Well, I think partially because the French fries are always in vegetable oil,
Mm.
but like tomatoes just kind of like make me inflamed.
Mm.
So I hate saying this on the times that I eat the keto pizza, let's just say that you don't want to be sleeping next to me because like it's just
It,
things are happening down there.
the cauliflower crust is just causing havoc. Have
Yeah,
you tried? So have you? Just out of interest,
like
have you
no
tried
sauce.
tomato sauce? Do you think there's a difference between like a fresh tomato and the sauce itself, or do you not know? I'm just interested. Is
So I do like caprese. Like if I go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, we have caprese salad. So caprese is like tomato,
mm,
mozzarella, basil, and like a balsamic usually, or like
mhm.
an olive oil. I really like that. So like that's kind
So
of
you
hard for
occasionally
me.
have like fresh tomato
A
and
fresh, organic,
yeah, yeah.
like always organic. If I buy any produce, it's organic. But
Mm,
like I actually just try to avoid it because like when I'm super pure and I eat a tomato, like I'm super pure carnivore and I eat a tomato, like it would like set me off. Like I would
Mm,
feel it. I'd feel the joint pain. I'd be like, okay, like I'm getting I'm a little bit more groggy, or I'm a little bit more
mm,
just like off. But I think the joint pain would be real
mm.
after like eating a tomato.
Well,
And
it's
that's why I think
yeah,
keto is so gnarly.
exactly. It supposedly causes a involuntary contraction of your muscles, so it makes you stiff, like more
Oh,
stiff
well then there you
than you
go.
usually would be. So like your muscles would feel sore. And strangely enough, my quads. I did CrossFit for the first time the other day in like over 2 weeks, and my quads are like insanely sore. I haven't felt this pain. So it could be the tomato sauce.
But
I mean,
you
I'm not
also,
one,
wait, hold on
but
though. We have to
yeah.
give context for people though, because you just had like not like an 8 day bender, but
Yeah.
you lived it up, and it could also be not just from tomato sauce, but like
Exactly, confounding factors. So, for context, for people, I went to Boom Festival, which is this really gnarly, like 8 day psychedelic trance festival in Portugal. It only happens every 2 years. The
wow.
last one happened in 2018, so that was 4 years ago. So you can imagine with COVID and things like that, how big
Oh
it
yeah.
was. It was huge, and I love I love the music and I love the vibe and I love the people, but I must say 8 days was a little bit gnarly for me. Like I'm very thankful I got through it. I must admit I was extremely nervous actually going into it. Just purely because I hadn't really been to a festival in like over 8 months since then. The only festival that I did go to was like a 2 day festival, and I could quickly rush back home afterwards and get back onto my meat eating train. There,
Yeah.
you in the desert for 8 days, and there's no. I mean, there was this one place that sold meat, like it was so gnarly, Nicole. So
Oh no.
they promote this whole like vegan,
Oh,
obviously
I
this
was gonna
vegan
ask.
drive with the
Jeez.
festival, and obviously there's a big synonymous relationship between like consciousness and festivals and vegan diets, and obviously a lot of people are vegan. But they had this one restaurant there. It was called the Argentinian Grill or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
It was so gnarly. They were literally cooking pork belly, chicken, and I was like, when I saw this place, I promise you, I got down. Okay, not really, but like literally, like something in me got down, and I was like, "Thank you, thank you for this." The only problem is it was so busy. It just shows you how people crave meat even at these festivals.
You need it.
You
Yeah.
need it, like when you out there having fun drinking, especially on like psychedelics, it takes it out of you. It really drains all your energy because you don't eat, because you're just having too much fun and you're in the sun, so your body craves protein after you've had like a heavy night. And
Yeah.
everyone was lining up there, so to actually get there, it was kind of like a revelation for me. It was kind of like i was I was pretty shocked, but I was pretty like, okay, you know what? People still crave this. This is something that people want. It's not like this meat place was like abandoned, which I kind of thought it would be. I actually thought, my ignorance was like, no, none of these people are going to go there. But they did. And it was the busiest
Mhm.
place that I saw every single day. So that was very interesting for me, was to see that. And I'm I'm very happy that I got through it without getting sick. When I actually left the festival on the way back, um, I was drinking tap water on the last day, and I kind of thought to myself, this is a bad idea. But the water was like sort of out of reach, and I was a bit lazy, and I was like, okay, let me just drink some tap water. The next day, for 3 days, when I got back, I was basically over the toilet the entire time, coming out of both ends. I felt so stiff, Nicole. Basically, it felt like food poisoning.
Oh my God, I have to tell you something, and I'm really
Yeah.
scared to tell you this.
What?
Okay, so we watched a show called Woodstock 99,
Oh
which
no.
basically was
It's bad.
about
Yeah.
them trying to redo a Woodstock festival in New York in America in 1999.
Hmm.
And it was more like alternative. They had like, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Offspring,
Like Fatboy
Limp
Slim and stuff
Bizkit,
like that.
Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you can watch it. It's on Netflix. But one of the things is that they didn't account for they just treated the people, the festival goers, awful, right? And like they were charging like $4 for water, and this is back in
Mm,
like 99, where like it should have been like 65 cents, and then they
mm,
racked it up to $12 a bottle,
mm,
and it was 100 plus degrees. So anyways, they had like porta potties and all these outhouses, and someone like broke a pipe, and they had these people come who would check the tap water quality, that the drinking water that people were using for showering and drinking and everything. And all the samples that they collected were tainted with human feces in them.
oh no.
And I was just like, not that this happened to you. Like, this was a 250,000 plus people festival.
Yeah,
Like, it was out of control.
yeah.
And it ended up really bad. But my point is that, like, who knows
Mm,
what tap water, like, do you know, we have a saying here where there's like gray water, which is recycled water that they'll use to on fields.
mm-hmm,
There's brown water, which is like literally from like the sewage system. So like
mm-hmm.
there's different classes of water. So neither of those are drinking water. But what I'm saying is I don't know about Portugal. I don't know about, do you know what I mean? Like I don't know
Mm.
about any, like I don't know about the standards or whatever. Like I'm sure it's fine and you probably were just like feeling like sick, but there's stuff in tap water. Like I encourage people to literally, like with the, in America, we have a tool where you can literally like put in your zip code and your city, and it'll show you like the last time that they tested the water and what was found in it. Like all the
Mm.
contaminants, all of the toxins and everything that's in the water. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that you
Well,
felt like shit.
yeah, exactly. And whether it was a coincidence or not, or whether it was food poisoning, in fact, because towards the end, I must be honest, my meat-based diet went completely out of the window. I was eating pizzas every day.
Well, your body was probably rejecting it, Josh. Like if
Y-
you think about it.
yeah, it purely. But what strikes me is that it happened on the day after I started drinking the tap water. And if you have a look at some of the
Yeah.
images, I've seen like Google images of the inside of taps. So it doesn't matter. The point is, it doesn't even matter where you are in the world. The fact of the matter is, tap water has to go through uh, metal piping to get to where it needs to be, or any sort of piping. So it could be clean water, but the problem is the actual piping itself develops fungi and mold over time and disease, and that's the problem. The water might be fresh, but the taps inside and the
Yeah, what
actual
it's
way,
running through.
yeah. So and I knew a few other people that also didn't feel too great on the days. But anyway, I'm happy that I went and experienced it, but I'm equally as happy to be back now and getting back on track with my health. It feels like I've been away for like 2 months. You know, it's one of those like situations where you just feel like,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, two things for me is that one, I I tr- I went for the first time. I took no sunscreen. It was 38 degrees Celsius. That's like I would love to maybe. I'm gonna Google it quickly. Screw it.
I think that's about 88 degrees, just under
38
90 maybe.
degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let's see what comes up. I feel like it's more than that.
I think it's like 90 plus.
Celsius Fahrenheit. About 104.
Oh my good God.
104 degrees. It was about 104 degrees Fahrenheit every single
Ooh.
day. And you're in a tent and the water, everything just gets so insanely hot every day. And I took no sunscreen. The only thing I took was a little stick of pure zinc, which I put on my face
Yeah,
and a
your
bit on my
T-zone.
yeah, and on my shoulders, and I didn't burn. Like I got slightly reddish on one or two occasions,
Yeah.
and then everyone was like, "Josh, yes, after sun. Do you want some after sun?" I'm like, "No, I'm trying something. I'm not putting none of that chemical shit on my body." The redness the next day completely went away. My body was fine. So although I got a
Yeah.
little bit red at times, obviously your body's not like invincible. It went away the next day. in the past, the first thing I would do when I got sunburned, like I mean, you would probably as well. The first thing you do is, oh, give me after sun. Let's put
Yeah.
let's put some chemicals on the burn. That just probably made it worse. That just probably irritated your skin, made it 10 times worse. So that was super compelling for me and I always thought it was the eating bad that caused it, and I was eating bad, and I was drinking
Yeah.
alcohol. So the proof is in the pudding. Is that seriously sunscreen? The more you think about it, is just it cannot be good for you. There's
Yeah.
no logical reason for me to believe that it's helping in any way, shape, or form. It's a pure chemical that you're putting on your skin, and the worst part about it is that it's literally UV rays baking the chemicals into your body. Like, how on earth can
It's
that
like
be good
almost
for
like a
you?
microwave. I will say, Josh,
Yeah.
though, like, so there's been so many recalls. And the newest one lately was for Banana Boat, which I believe is owned by Johnson and Johnson, I think. And every like sunscreen brand is owned by like Bayer or Johnson
Yeah.
and Johnson or Pfizer or whatever, like you name it. Like all the big pharma companies make the sunscreens, right? So the newest one is that they were testing, and this is just because people were testing it. This had been on the shelves for a very long time, and they found apparently unsafe levels of benzene. Okay. And so benzenate is also an ingredient that's been used in a lot of sunscreen, which is basically benzene, right? But they use it in like safe levels. But benzene is a known carcinogen,
Hmm.
which is insane. You are rubbing carcinogens on your body, trying not to get cancer from the one natural thing in the sky. Like it just it like I'm so against sunscreen. Like I don't even like, and like as you can see, like I'm not burnt. I'm not like I don't have like my skin falling off. I'm not like
No.
wrinkly, like none of that shit.
No.
So I'm like, dude, like you're literally rubbing in all that stuff, and they keep having recalls on all these sunscreen.
Yeah.
It's such bullshit.
And you just touched on it. Is that a friend of mine that I went with? His first thing to me, which is every single family member that I have, I was gonna say own, every single family member of mine says, "Oh no, no, it's because there's melanoma in our family. Like, put on sunscreen. Like, there's skin cancer in our family." Like, the propaganda is so real.
Yeah, it
It's not.
is.
It's not. Oh, hang on. Could it be something else that's causing the skin cancer? Or do you think the sun? The thing that the interesting thing is it's like they blame your childhood for that's the propaganda. They blame your childhood for your experience of sun now because as a child I spent all day in the sun
Same.
and I admittedly my parents put sunscreen on me because they wanted to look after me,
Yeah.
but who's to say that it's not the sunscreen as a child that's caused all of your malignancies, potential malignancies in your skin, and now you're just further damaging that through the sunscreen that you're putting on now. So it's such a bake. It really is such a bake to think that you need this white fucking chemical to
Yeah.
for your body knows what it's doing. It will tell you, hey Nicole, I've kind of had enough sun today.
Yeah. Like
I
let's
don't know
get
if you
out of
ever
it.
had that experience. Yeah, let's get out
Yeah,
of
of
the
course.
sun.
Yeah.
And then you kind of sit there and sometimes you've had enough sun that it has a like afterglow for a couple of days. Like literally sometimes I'll sit in the sun so long and the next day it'll be a nice day and I'd kind of be like, you know what, I'm actually feeling fine. Mom, I actually feel fine. But then you get that compulsion, like we've spoken about, you get that compulsion to go back in the sun again. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like your body saying, I need some more vitamin D. Yeah.
It's like intuition. Like
Yeah.
people forget that like your body is so intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you might have this like desire to go do something and you should probably do it.
Mm.
Um, but it's just to me, it just makes zero sense to put a carcinogenic
Mm.
substance on your body to prevent you from getting cancer. Like it's just like it
Mm.
doesn't, it's just to me, it's just like this is the most hypocritical thing like I've ever heard of. Like you're trusting again pharmaceutical companies who don't give a shit about you, who
Mm.
are always just worried about making money, who have had recall after recall after recall, especially more recently. with sunscreens because of the carcinogens in them.
Mm.
And it's just like, I don't know, like I think there are brands out there, here's the thing. Like you'll think that you found a clean brand and then it's also owned by Johnson and Johnson. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like,
It's so
so they
fucked.
they
Yeah.
have like 5 different sunscreen brands, so you think you're getting one better.
Yeah.
But I have found, so my only thing is that if I know that my face is going to be directly in the sun for hours,
Mm.
right? Like hours without any shade, without any hats or anything, which rarely ever happens. I have a mineral sunscreen that's super like no tox, like no chemicals in it. It's all natural ingredients. And I put the tiniest bit on my T-zone
Yeah.
because that's the only thing that's really like that I like want to protect, right?
Mm.
So I think if you're someone that is going to be in the sun for a very long period of time and you don't have a hat, right? Or something to like kind of just, give a little grace to your face,
Mm.
then I totally understand like the need to wear sunscreen, but there are brands out there where you can check and you can see, or like if it's you doing like that zinc stick or something that doesn't have any harmful ingredients, like there's stuff you can
Mm.
do. But I just think that's the only time like I will wear like a low tox natural ingredient like mineral sunscreen on my face,
Yeah.
right? And that's literally the only time I say to people, because if you can control if you're in the shade, if you're wearing a hat, like then you can probably be in it for hours,
Yeah. You can.
So yeah.
I was shocked. I was really shocked. It's for the first time in a very long time, my body has like some sort of like color to it, which is crazy for me to
Oh, nice.
say.
Because we're very different. Like I can tan and I can get pretty
Yes.
dark. And I feel
Uh,
like for you, it's like it has to be a very gradual
yeah.
like
It takes
process.
a
And then
while.
you're like, oh, I have some color.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not tan. It's just I have some color on my skin. That's my definition of being somewhat tan. But another like cool thing about going to the festival is that it's just the unplugging. Like I enjoyed unplugging and
mhm,
being off Instagram because there's this like there's so much proving and creating online whether we like it or not. It's just the nature of being online and the things we try to create, and I'm fully on board with that. And it's certainly taken me a couple of days to adjust back and get the motivation that I need to start creating content again and stuff, because I really do enjoy it. But it does take it out of you. It's like when you go to these things, you sort of, when you come back, you're like, oh, I really don't feel like being this person online. But the revelation for me is like, you don't have to be that person. You can be the person that you are, and the right people will be surround. It's when you're creating this, like I've done in the past, when I've created somebody that I think people would enjoy to see, or I inflate my personality, to try and get a point across. It doesn't really serve, So I was
yeah.
really it was really nice to just be away from it all, I suppose, and then to come back and see it, and just see the landscape from a different perspective, if that makes sense, from like an outsider perspective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Speaking
know
of
how, when
that,
last you yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because I strongly believe in that. Like my favorite times are Fridays when we do like our river float every Friday, because you can't have your phone on
And
the
where
river.
exactly, I was gonna say,
You know what I
golf,
mean?
where's your phone? Probably
So
away, right?
yeah, it's gone because I'm
Yeah.
busy like trying to figure out how I'm pushing the car. I'm trying. I think I took one video or two videos, and it wasn't even like live on Instagram. It was just like I
Mm,
always post things later. Like I know we've talked about this, but I always try to just like take a video or take a picture, because I still want like to remember certain things and have like a memory I can look back on,
for sure.
but it won't be live to Instagram and me being
Yeah.
like, oh, hold on, Taylor, just a second. Like I need to post this.
Yes.
It's like at the end of the day, like no one really gives a shit. Like your social media does not define you. It's not like the whole thing that you are. It's just one aspect of your life. And, who knows how long it's going to be around,
Mm.
like, I mean, probably a long time, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where like, I think what's serving you, because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I honestly don't give a crap about like the only thing that I care about is that like just informing people on certain things like
Mm,
birth control, which I'm really passionate about,
mm,
and like just knowing ingredients that are in products, because I think that like our parents had no idea. They were just like feeding us stuff and like, oh, like this is like a green food dye going in your oatmeal, and your oats are,
mm,
sprayed in glyphosate and they're not organic. And do you know what I mean? So like for me, that's like
mm,
why I'm on social media now.
mm,
I feel like I don't even care about like who, like I don't even care about, like I just want to know things. Like I want to stay informed, and it's a great way to stay informed, I
mm.
guess. I don't know.
I read this interesting article that Tim Ferriss actually shared in his newsletter. I don't know if you subscribe to Tim Ferriss's
I know Tim
newsletter.
Ferriss, but I don't, sorry, I
Yeah,
don't
you know
personally
him.
know.
You know Tim Ferriss. Holy shit!
Yeah,
No,
we
I'm
go way
joking.
back.
But his newsletter recently shared this article about this person online. You might even know him. He was this vegan that started this YouTube channel, and he was very picky. He was a very picky eater. He decided one day, fuck it, I'm gonna eat. I want McDonald's. So he went to McDonald's and he recorded him eating. I might be getting the whole story like a bit wrong,
Can you
but I'm
tell
just
me his
giving.
name, by the way?
Fuck, it's Anyway, but this guy. Let me just. You know what? We've got time. Let me just quickly bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up because I
So
want
we
to
got.
know.
Here we go. So the article itself is called "The Perils of Audience Capture." I highly recommend you read this. Like,
Okay.
it is very interesting, and basically the subtitle is "How Influencers Become Brainwashed by Their Audience." Not that I'm saying we
Oh,
influencers in the sense of some people, but it was interesting to read. But this guy, he's called Nicado Avocado,
I-
is as Perry.
sorry. I just like, wait, did you say Nick Cotto
That's
avocado?
the dude. Okay, so you can see that. That's the dude on the top. That's where he started, and that's what he looks like now.
Shut the front door.
Yes. So
You
so
have to link the
yeah.
article in there
So
too.
essentially, let me just give it a bit of an overview. Essentially,
Yeah, yeah.
basically, he was a vegan, very picky eater, very self conscious person. Decided one day, hey, fuck it, let me eat McDonald's and record the video. People obviously were like interested and be like, wow, that's fucked up, man. Like, he started getting attention, he started getting love, he started doing this more and
Um,
more. So he started basically basically the way he describes it is that his audience basically compelled him to eat himself. So he literally ate his former self into this person that just eats anything and records it. And he's got millions of subscribers. But this is like a metaphor for what happens in
yeah.
our community, is that audience capture means that we start to shift our identity to that of our audience, and we start to do things because our audience is giving us information of what they actually want instead of what actually we want to impart onto the world. And I've been
Is that
thinking,
kind of, I have a question for you.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that kind of like the echo chamber phenomenon? So like you kind of like you attract a certain person
sort
that's
of,
gonna want, and then it just
sort of, yeah.
encourages you to
I
continue
think,
being that
yeah,
way.
I think an echo chamber is actually more relevant to what we are interested in, because an
Oh,
echo
okay.
chamber would be we've got these ideas. We literally do want to change people's lives, like me and you, but we might live in an echo chamber where we might actually block off certain things that sort of disarm the biases that we have. So we might
Oh,
block
okay.
things that could potentially be useless. I mean, useful, but because we believe they're not and we're not open to them, we won't let these ideas in. Whereas I think this is more related to, like, you know, entertainment influencers and people that do
Mm.
stupid shit online to get views. But I still think it relates. Still think it's very important. It's still very important to what we're doing, because I've always viewed what I do as an art form, and I never want to succumb to the latest trends, or I don't know.
You don't want to dance on Reels or TikToks? You
I was
don't?
just going there. I don't want to shake my steak in front of. Okay, that sounds pretty sexual, actually. I don't want to shake. I don't want to make cringy TikToks, because
Yeah.
that's just the thing to do. I mean, listen, cool. People do that. Carnivore influencers do that. But you kind of want to be true to the stuff you're doing, and the people that are with you will be with you. If you get 1,000 views over 1,000,000 views, but those 1,000 views are changing one person's life at the fundamental level, that's a good thing. You know, it's like you kind of, I guess my big point is like, I kind of ask myself, I'm like, is what I'm doing making a difference? Like, am I truly making a difference? And I kind of came to the conclusion that I think I am, because of the responses that I get. But it's a good question to ask myself, if you know what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
asking yourself, is what you're doing online making a difference, or are you using your platform as a way to get some sort of love that you maybe never got, or something like that? Because I'm admittingly, how I started. Is it felt really good to get views and
Yeah.
likes, and but yeah, I know it's a very sort of transcendental topic, but it was
No,
a
it's
revelation for me. You know, it was kind of interesting to see that.
that's important. I mean, like that's probably why you don't see me making like dancing reels or like why to do carnivore reels. And again,
Yeah.
to anyone that's doing that, we're not saying that that's shit or anything like that. We're just saying like, cool, like that's you, that's what you want to do. I just don't think it's genuine to like who I am and what I want to do. Like
Mm.
there's I feel like I don't really care as much as I did, like what people think. Like I'm growing a human right now. I am just, trying to live my life and be active and whatever. So I will say that like the need to like put on makeup and like take a photo or something is not really like it's not on my to-do. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Mm.
not really on my to-do. Like
Mm.
I tried actually recording like a workout and I was like, I don't really like this. Like I was like, I thought maybe like that would be like an avenue I'd want to explore. And I was like, I don't like this. Like I feel like I'm now disconnected from my workout. I'm now taking a video of myself working out. I'm not using like my music. I feel so disconnected from what
Mm.
like my intention is. Like I don't like
Mm-hmm.
being disconnected from my intentions. So like if I'm doing something, like I want to be all in. I don't want to
Mm.
be like taking a fucking video of myself and then doing that. Like I think I did it for like three like workouts. I was like three little things I was doing really quick. And then I was like, I was like, I'm over this. Like
Yeah.
I'll use this in one reel, but like I was like, I just don't want to do that. And
Mm.
like I will be like, hey, I'll refer you to knees over toes, guys, if you want to
Mm.
see like some stuff, or hey, like go do this. But there's just the disingenuousness is just like it's not even a word. I don't know,
Yeah.
but like I
No, it's
feel
true.
it so deeply
Mm.
when like I'm like because I enjoy what I do. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm doing that workout, I enjoy it so much. So if I do like end up recording myself, it like doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like I'm getting out of it what I set to
Mm.
get from it, But the things that like make me like continue to give a fuck online or social media is like a little message that I will get that's like, hey, like I just want to let you know, like I ended up going off birth control and I am absolutely just like so excited about this. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
never felt better. Like thank you for, putting that information out there. Like little things like that. And maybe that's to me, that's a big thing. Like
That's huge. Yeah.
those are the things that make me be like, okay, like it's worth it. Like I don't like being that person and like we're not trying to like fear monger people, which a lot of people try to say. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm just trying to give you the ingredients
Mm.
and like the education on what's put in your body. So that kind of brings me to another thing that's pretty hot is I believe in informed consent, right? Like I believe that the people that are putting you on birth control or the people that are giving you a vaccine or whatever, they should tell you exactly the ingredients of what you're going to put in your body and let you decide. Maybe not right there. Maybe you decide and you think it over for weeks if this is worth what I want to do, right? Like maybe you don't have to make a decision then, but I
Mm.
just wish that there was that thing. And now I'm getting into a place where there's a vaccine schedule for babies, right? Like when they're born, starting with when they're born, all the different vaccines you have to give them. And so I don't care what people do. I'm not like against vaccines.
Mm.
I more want people to know. And so I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Vaccine Book. And it's basically just goes through it goes through all the different vaccine schedules like that are there. It goes through all the different vaccines, and it basically tells you the ingredients of every single vaccine that you're going to be putting in your child. So then you can make the decision, right? Because a lot of people don't know that you can also say no to like a lot of things in life. Like just because a doctor tells you to do something, like you can question it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like going through this book, dude, and I'm just like, and again, like if you want to vaccinate, whatever, like I don't give a shit, right? Like I think that just everyone should be able to be informed about the ingredients, like of what you're injecting your newborn with, right? Or like your kid with. So I'm looking through this, and like literally like 90% of them have high levels of mercury in them. They have formaldehyde. They have all these different things. I can't even, for some of them, I can't say them. But I was like looking through them and I'm like, dude, what the
Fuck.
hell? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's like eggs in a lot of them too. And so, like, if you are allergic to eggs, which like I know a couple people, like, I'm like, dude, like, I wonder if they have immune issues now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, my
Yeah.
brain just like,
What
there's
the
just
fuck?
like, it's like, how do I not know this? How,
Yeah.
like, I just, I don't know. Like, as a, like, I just think that people should know every single thing that's going into their body that they're or injecting their kid that doesn't have a choice yet. Like you should know everything that's going into there. I don't know if you have an opinion on this,
I was gonna say
but
people obviously assume because it's so tricky. Like, as informed as I am, and as much as I trust my instincts and my gut, a part of me will still always sort of like be like, "Oh, this person in a coat, they've got a degree, they clearly know something." So there is this like sort of dichotomy that happens between your own innate wisdom and the wisdom of some pharmaceutical industry, because obviously without certain modern medications and stuff, a lot of babies would fucking die. That's just the fact. But at the same time, if you're healthy and you've had a good pregnancy, I don't see why you should have to have your baby on any sort of vaccine. I don't. How many? So from your standpoint, like how many? That sounds like they have to have quite a
vaccines
few.
they give you, I think it's about 40. So here's the thing. So this
Jesus,
is
what?
we
That's
we can like look it up
insane.
right now. But so for this one,
Let's have a look.
there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21,
That just
22,
sounds
23,
crazy.
24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Okay, so between the ages of birth and 12 years old, you get about 41 different vaccines. Sorry, and this is just vaccine shots. So like you might get like like you'll start a polio one at 2 months old, and you'll continue getting the polio one through being 5 years old. So like you're getting injected with a lot of shit. And
Yeah.
like I didn't realize this and I didn't know this. And then I like look at all this stuff that's in it. And like, dude, like there's like known carcinogens and like
Mm.
things that are really bad for humans in these. So all I'm saying is that everyone can make their own decision,
Mm.
right? Like all vaccines are not created equal. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you spend time just like look into the ingredients,
Mm.
um,
Well, I
that
know I
are
know a
in
few people in Cape
vaccines.
Town. I know a few people in Cape Town who were born without any vaccines, and they are probably some of the healthiest people I know. Their parents were like, Cape Town's known to have like a few. It's a bit of a counterculture hippie type place. That's why I love it. Is that they healthy people and they didn't have any vaccines. Their parents said,
Yeah.
no, we're not giving our kids anything, and they're completely fine. And it's kind of what I love about South Africa as well, is that although it's not in a great state economically, is that you still have that kind of like this choice. I'm just reading here about the Dutch,
And
the
by the way, you do have a choice. So a lot of people don't realize. So like
Mm,
basically when the baby's born, they give them a K2, vitamin K2 shot, and they give eye antibiotics, and then they give one more shot. Right, like literally like the moment it's born. And I was like, I was like, that's really weird. So I have to like read into those too.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, why am
That's
I giving my baby a
really,
vitamin
yeah.
K2 shot? And it's like
Like,
super like I just want to know. Do you know what I
yes,
mean? Like
exactly.
I do have
Exactly.
something that's kind of
Mm.
weird that I did discover with my pregnancy. Um, and so, and this kind of comes back. But anyways, people look at what's in shots before you get them because
Mm.
there's like a whole thing. And if you're vegan, I just want to let you know that if you've made it this far in the podcast and
Yeah.
you're vegan,
Jeez. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
there's it goes over in this book specifically, and I think Sears, this doctor, Robert W. Sears, he's an MD, but he has an updated book too that you should read because this last one was like 2008. But one of the controversial um sorry, some of the controversial, I'm not trying to laugh, okay? Some of the controversial ingredients, not the carcinogens, but the things that people want to argue about are monkey kidney cells, fetal cow blood, polysorbate 80, and then the use of live genetically altered organisms is a worry to some people, even outside the food industry.
What the fuck? So, yeah, it doesn't sound very vegan
What?
friendly, basically.
No, yeah. And then, like, yeah, anyways, but I did want to say, so I might have to get a shot and I'll tell you what it is. We went and got our physical and they were asking us about the flu shot. The flu shot that I was just telling you about is the one that has the formaldehyde and the levels of mercury in it.
Mm.
Depending on which brand you get, those levels vary. But like, I've never really gotten flu shots. Like, and I also, the one time I think I did get it, I ended up getting the flu. So I was like, okay, checks out, not doing that again. Right.
Yeah. Fuck that.
But, and that's just for me. Like my mom, she's on like her fourth booster of the coronavirus, or the COVID vaccine. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I haven't talked about it in a while. Anyway, okay. So the thing that I found out about myself, which is so weird, I did not know this is a thing at all. And I'm still kind of like weirded out. Okay. So I had to get a blood test to find out which blood type I am, right? In case that I ever need a blood transfusion or, I lose blood giving birth or whatever, right? They just do that. I am O negative. O negative means that I am Rh negative, right? So I just have a negative blood type.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Rh negative and your baby comes out and your baby has positive blood, right? It's AB positive, it's A positive, B positive, O positive. What'll happen is that when you give birth, if your blood comes into contact with that baby's blood, then what'll happen is in the future pregnancies, if you get pregnant again and your baby's blood with a negative and a positive came in contact with each other, your body in future pregnancies and different times in the pregnancy will attack the fetus because it sees it as a foreign entity in your body. And
Okay.
it'll attack it and it'll be born with either really bad issues, really bad jaundice, not like the jaundice when you're born, that's very minimal, like jaundice to the point of like having really bad liver issues and stuff like that. And sometimes it ends in miscarriage and loss or stillbirth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I found this out and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, easy fix. Like this is like my last appointment with my OB. And he goes, oh yeah, like you can get this shot called Rogam. And this Rogam shot basically injects me with positive vitamins, or sorry, not positive, positive blood, like Rh positive blood. And so it tricks my body to thinking that in future pregnancies, like that blood is okay to be mixed with my blood.
Okay.
So I won't attack the fetus
Interesting.
in future pregnancies. Because what was happening is like, I think they discovered this like 40 to 50 years ago. And what was happening is that a lot of women were losing their second and third and fourth babies, like after having a healthy, normal pregnancy.
Hmm.
And then they discovered that it was the issue with the negative blood recognizing the positive blood and wanting to, like fight it, kind of as like being like, oh, the foreign substance in your body, let's kill it. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there. So there was two options. And the first option was if we test Taylor's blood, which we did, I decided to test Taylor's blood. If he's negative as well, like if he has some type of negative, AB negative, O negative, whatever, a negative blood type, then our kid will have a negative blood type. So I don't have to ever worry about this.
Mm-hmm.
However, if he has a positive blood type, then that means that the baby has a potential to have a positive blood type. And I need to get that shot of RhoGAM at 30 weeks pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
around 30 weeks. So I'm like trying to figure out what the hell is in it. And I'm like asking my midwife and like I'm asking the OB guy, and they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like,
Oh, cool.
okay,
Well,
but
it's
apparently
made by a pharmaceutical company, so I mean, it should be good for you, right?
it should be.
If it's
But
got,
you don't
yeah.
understand, like I haven't had something foreign in my body
Hmm.
in so long, like by purpose, just because like I felt so good and I don't want that. Like Taylor got a tetanus shot I think 4 years ago, and he full blown got tetanus. He got lockjaw. He couldn't like his joints were just like so sore to the point where like he could not move. Like he was
Hmm.
like an old man in bed
Hmm.
with like severe joint pain, lockjaw, and like literally like it lasted for like a week or so.
Jeez.
And it was awful. And that was his first time like getting like he hadn't been to the doctor in like 10 years. So like that was like his first time. Anyway, so there's just like that's like my biggest worry right now is like having to get that shot
Hmm.
and finding something that I don't like in the ingredients and being like, oh,
Oh gosh,
there's
yeah.
like mercury in this. Oh, cool. I can't wait to like shoot myself up when I have like a baby inside me with
Yeah.
mercury. So
Yeah, so many choices and things to think about. I can imagine, especially on the level that you operate at now, is that there's just so much that you just know is just not good for you and therefore not good for your baby. So, but yeah, I'm kind of on the spectrum that often less is best, you know? Like when in doubt, don't. It's easy to I just my hypothesis. It's easy to be a bit of a. It's easy to just think as a normal person would think is like, oh, more is better. But sometimes it's actually like, hang on, if I don't feel comfortable about this, rather just don't take it. Like it's probably something that you don't need. You know what I'm saying? You can always, I don't know.
I need to figure. So here's the thing, like I think everyone can make their own decision, but like just looking it up just now, like really quick, it's like, oh yeah, there is a level of mercury in the RhoGAM shot.
Mm,
And I'm just like, I'm like trying so hard to free myself of all these toxins that we're constantly
mm,
inundated with. And
mm.
now they want me to like,
Put all the toxins back in.
yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
like that should, so that actually like gives me anxiety. Like
Mm,
putting something in my body that my body doesn't need, that
mm,
like those things like freak me out. And it's like, well, now I need to know, like, I freaking hope to God Taylor's negative. Like, I
mm.
literally am like, please have a negative blood type because I don't know how to,
Yeah.
like, I don't. Anyways, so that's like the weird thing. That's like my Sophie's choice right now.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see what happens. I think the last resort is that you test the baby's blood right when it's born, and you see if it's born negative. Because if it's born negative, then I don't need the shot.
Yeah, and you can always get it
But
afterwards, right? You can. It doesn't have to be like while you are pregnant. I mean, you can get it off.
so the protocol is one around 30 weeks, and
Oh
then
yeah, you were
again right
saying
after the baby's born within 3 days. So
okay.
like it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really make it's just one of those things. And then like it's like people, if your blood does come in contact with the baby, or if I have an emergency C-section or something like that, like the risk goes up of like your blood mixing. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
of like the baby bleeding and like my blood.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest, Josh. Like I've never heard about this. So like
No.
when I found out, I was like, oh no, but I don't know. I'll just have to like figure out what my option is if I don't want to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean I only have one kid and like not risk doing it again? But I would, if Taylor is the blood that's positive,
Yeah.
there's still a chance the baby's blood comes negative. And I think my next option would be testing the baby's blood to find out if it is negative or
Mm-hmm.
positive, because then I can determine at that point if I want the shot, I guess.
Hmm. Well, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
We shall find out on the next episode. We will if you dig a bit deeper into that. That sounds very intriguing because I've never heard of that. Sounds amazing. Yeah.
Oh, me neither. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Just a weird thing though. And I am doing a home birth, by the way, like 100%.
Okay. Nice.
I broke up with my OBGYN. Like I broke up with him and I was like, oh yeah, like I told you this might happen, but I'm
Yeah.
doing a home birth.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, so it'll be like in a little kiddie pool, like in my living room. And they just basically like I'm just gonna try to sleep or distract myself as much as possible when my contractions start. So
Nice.
yeah.
And your midwife is confirmed and everything, obviously, and gonna
Yes.
okay.
I
Nice.
have a doula who is kind of like my advocate, and then I have two midwives who will
Okay.
be there in like my birth. And then if anything, crazy comes up, then I just go to the hospital, which is
Yeah.
like 10, 15 minutes away.
Simple as that. It really is. It's not. Yeah.
I
It's
just don't
easy.
want the option for the drugs. Because if basically like they're telling me, they're like, if you want to have a hospital birth, like they told me it was some crazy number. Like right now, it's like 90, even people that want natural births that give birth in a hospital, it's like 99% of the births are people use drugs.
Mm.
Like it's very rare that there's a natural birth
And how
in a
often do
hospital.
people who have a natural birth choose to go on drugs once they start?
Well,
That'll
they
be
can't.
interesting.
There's no option.
Is so there's no option at
No,
all.
there's zero
Okay.
option. There's no
Okay.
pain,
So
anything.
once you're in that natural birth, it's happening regardless of whether you like it or not. That thing's coming with it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's coming out. But people have to remember, like, it's kind of like a marathon where, like, you can start contractions, and some people, like, are fine. They don't feel them as much. Some people really feel them, and it's really
Mm.
uncomfortable and
Mm.
painful. But you have to remember, like, it's kind of like these 30 to 60-second things
Mm.
of like
Mm.
pain. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
so when you're actually like in active labor, and like, so basically when you have your contractions, like when they start, right? It can be a long time up until your water breaks, and then up until a long time until you actually have the baby, like the baby is ready to come out.
Yeah.
So that can be a long time. Um, but the thing is that once it goes from contracting and getting your body ready to start going down, there's this thing that happens called transition, where if you see in like movies, or most people are like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Or
Mm.
like they have this like moment of like, it's too much, or you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's when you know that like the baby's now actually starting to go down versus contracting and getting ready to come out.
Mm.
Which is like so crazy. But those, when it actually is, when you're actually like pushing and stuff, right? When you actually start to push and all that, it's like these 30-second sprints,
Mm.
and maybe a minute. But there's like, it's like these sprints that you have. And I'm like, okay, like if I can mentally make it through like these 30 to 60-second sprints on and off of
Mm.
like pain, and who knows my level of pain that will happen. And I was like, but that sounds doable. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not like you're literally for 40 hours just having
No.
a contraction for 40 hours. Like
Yeah.
that's not the case. So I think there is a lot of like, and everyone I tell is like, well, what happens if you have to like, if the baby's distressed, or you have a breech baby where it's feet first, or like everyone wants to know
I'll
what's
deal
going to
with.
happen if something bad happens. And I'm like, I go to the hospital. Like, I don't
Mm.
know.
Well, call me crazy, but like if you envision a good birth,
Mhm.
it's going to more than likely take place. You've got to actually, have some sort of vision of what you want to happen. That's we creative beings. It's like, but maybe that's just me. I think you've got to see it going well, and you've got to see it going smoothly with the people you love, and that will make the process a lot easier. But if you are hypochondriac and you are scared about it coming feet first, or what something, yeah, something might happen because now you are one
You're
you,
putting it out there.
yeah, you're
That's what I
asking
tell
for it.
Taylor. I'm like, don't put that out. Don't put like, I always say this. I'm like, don't put that out there.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Because
Mm.
I envision like, well, here's the one thing they said that people do to distract themselves is when their labor starts or their contractions, like they say, try to sleep, try to rest as much as you can if you can sleep through them.
Mm.
Because some people, if they've had really bad periods, or like they've had really bad cramps,
Yeah.
and have slept through that, like sometimes people have higher pain tolerances and they'll just sleep through it, which
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna try that. But the other one, Josh, you're gonna love this. is they'll tell people to have ingredients to make a cake from scratch. And they'll say, okay, like, you know what, it's your baby's birthday. Let's make a cake from scratch. And it's not more about like, it's just about distracting your mind. Like, yeah, anytime you've been in pain, like even when you do like your ice bath or your cold showers or whatever, right? Like you want to like distract your mind, right? Like a little bit, and that helps. But I don't know. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Like, so I'll just make a cake for, you know, maybe I'll make like a steak cake or something. I don't know.
Yeah, can be
But I thought that
reward.
was cute.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Cool. Well, this has been a glorious episode. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. And yeah, I can't believe this. 20 episodes, this
I
one.
know.
So that's pretty cool.
And I just want to add one more thing to everyone. Like Josh and I, we believe that everyone has a choice in what they want to do. So all I'm saying is that just read ingredients of vaccines, be informed before making your decision, because my mind right now is like,
I can imagine.
what? Like, what is happening? I don't know. But yeah, just look through and you can kind of go through the pros and cons and risks or whatever. But yeah,
Cool.
a good one. Welcome back
See you in the
to
next one.
reality, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.